COVID Radar is an app developed by the Spanish government. It uses Bluetooth system to warn you when you have had close contact with someone who has COVID-19. I wanted to put this app to test, so I coded a simulation to further analyze the effects of this radar. About 540 lines of code later, here we are. Here it is, the final result. So let's explain a couple of things while that runs in the background. How does it work? Well, these dots represent the people. They can be either sick or healthy. Dots move randomly in the white box. Sick dots emit the virus at random time intervals. If a healthy dot is close to a sick dot when it is emitting, it has a chance of getting infected. When you get infected, you have a chance of having symptoms. Dots without symptoms will keep walking randomly spreading the virus. Dots with symptoms will get a PCR, and also keep walking around until they get the result. If it is positive, they confine themselves and go into the smaller grayer box. After some time, sick dots overcome the virus and turn immune. Dots who are confined will follow this cycle, request a PCR, wait for the PCR results. If they have the virus, return to society, otherwise repeat. That is, without the COVID radar. The radar interferes in the system right here. When a dot gets a positive PCR, it will not only confine itself, but also tell the radar that has been keeping track of people in contact with you lately. Radar warns all these people to confine themselves and enter the PCR cycle. The simulation doesn't represent the reality we live in. It doesn't take into account so many factors, but I think the results do match the truth. You are watching right now the simulation without the COVID radar turned on. The graph is as follows: green, healthy dots, purple, free dots, black, immune dots, and red, dots who have ever gotten sick. As you can see, the graph does follow the logistic curve, even with people being confined. The logistic curves models the real spreading of a virus. I will link to a video of 3 blue 1 brown that explains why this happens, but for now, this means that the simulation is trustworthy. Let's first see what happens when everybody has the radar. When two dots encounter, they get added into each other's radars 100% of the time. That means that even asymptomatic dots will eventually infect a dot that will get a PCR, and as a result, both of them will end up confined. As you can see, the purple line gets lower than the green line most of the time, meaning that we are having a lot of healthy dots get confined. But that gives its profits. The virus is defeated with almost no peak and in very little time. But what happens when 50% of the people have the COVID radar? Every time two dots encounter, the radar will only be effective when both of them have the app, meaning only 25% of the time. As you can see, it's still better than no radar, but not as good as we hoped. We have to keep in mind that the percentage of dots who have the radar is higher than the percentage of encounters where it will be useful. In fact, when 70% of the dots have the radar, almost 50% of the encounters are efficient. In fact, when 1 over square root of 2 or 70.71% of the dots have the radar, 50% of the encounters will be radar effective. It does take a much longer time to beat the virus and a lot of healthy dots confined, but with no peak whatsoever. Now, that's the result we were hoping for earlier. Here you can see how efficient the radar is with other percentages of dots using it. The professionals do say that 60% of people using it could be effective enough to make a difference. First of all, the system could be optimized. like not confining immune people or having PCR results arrive sooner. Secondly, in the real world, the exact number of people with the app is uncertain, but in Spain it's lower than 3 million people out of the almost 47 million living here. That's about 6.64%, leading to a 0.441% of radar effective encounters. Not much of a difference as you see, but if enough people downloaded it, it could definitely be effective at the cost of having a lot of healthy population confined and doing a lot of PCRs. One more thing. It took me a lot longer to share this with you than to actually make the simulation. So if you want me to share future projects, your support would be appreciated.